Bangladesh enters a new political storm after Jamaat-Aligned attack on Tarique Rahman. Namaskar, you're watching The Global Eye with me, Mousumi. Bangladesh has entered another phase of political turbulence, just as it stands at a historic crossroads. A fresh storm has erupted following incendiary remarks by a Jamaat-e-Islami aligned lawyer targeting both India and Bangladesh National Party, which we know as BNP leader Tarique Rahman, only a day after Rahman's dramatic return from a 17-year exile. The remarks, which accused Tarique Rahman of betraying his father and accepting India's conditions, have not only reignited domestic political fault lines, but have also injected fresh tension into Bangladesh's already sensitive relationship with India. The timing, tone, and intent behind these statements underline how fragile the country's political transition remains in the post-Hasina era. The return of Tarique Rahman, son of former Bangladeshi Prime Minister Khalida Zia, after 17 years in exile, undoubtedly marks one of the most consequential political moments in Bangladesh's recent history. His arrival in Dhaka, welcomed by thousands and thousands of party workers and supporters at the airport, is not merely a personal homecoming, but a powerful signal of shifting political winds in a country already grappling with unrest, institutional fatigue, and uncertainty about its democratic future. At a time when Bangladesh is facing deep internal instability, economic stress, and growing concerns over minority rights, Tarique Rahman's emergence as the strongest contender for the prime ministership has the potential to redefine the nation's trajectory domestically, regionally, and geopolitically. If we see the political significance inside Bangladesh, the revival of BNP and power realignment can be witnessed. Tarique Rahman's return significantly strengthens the Bangladesh Nationalist Party (BNP), which had remained politically weakened during his long exile. With former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina no longer dominating the political space and a party facing severe legitimacy challenges, BNP now finds itself at the center of national politics once again. The massive turnout at the airport was not just a show of loyalty. It was a demonstration of organizational strength and popular mobilization, indicating that BNP has retained deep grassroots networks despite years of political suppression. Tarique Rahman is now widely viewed as the party's undisputed leader and the most viable alternative to the old power structure. His first address and rally following his return were carefully staged to project authority, continuity, and readiness to govern, sending a clear message to both domestic rivals and international observers. And here's the trigger: Shahryar Kabir's provocative allegations.
বেইমানি করতেছেন, আপনার মায়ের রক্তের সাথে আপনি বেইমানি করতেছেন। আপনার বাবা তালপট্টি দেয়নি বলে শেখ হাসিনাকে এখানে ঢুকানোর 17 দিনের মাথায় আপনার বাবাকে হত্যা করা হয়েছে। আপনার বাবা পানি চুক্তির আন্ডারে ফারাক্কাকে বলছিল উড়িয়ে দিবে। আপনার মা এই পানির দাবিতে ইউএন পর্যন্ত গেছিল। সেজন্য আপনার মাকে কিন্তু ক্ষমতা থেকে কিভাবে চলে গেছে। আর আমার ধারণা আপনার মাদার ব্যথা এখনো যায়নি। যদি মাদার ব্যথা এখন অনুভব করে থাকেন, বিশ্বাস করেন।
Barrister Shahryar Kabir, widely described as aligned with Jamaat-e-Islami, publicly alleged that Tarique Rahman had compromised Bangladesh's sovereignty by alleging aligning himself with Indian interest following his return to Dhaka. The language used was deliberately emotive and symbolic. Accusing Rahman of betraying his father directly invokes the legacy of former President Ziaur Rahman. Alleging submission to India's conditions taps into long-standing nationalist and Islamist narratives that portray India as an overbearing external force. These remarks were widely seen not as an isolated outburst, but as a calculated provocation designed to shape public perception at a critical political moment. And why this attack matters because politics beyond personal insult can be felt here. This episode is not merely a personal attack on Tarique Rahman. It represents a broader political strategy rooted in three objectives: delegitimizing Rahman's nationalist credentials by portraying him as a pro-India. Critics aim to weaken his appeal among conservative nationalist and Islamist voters. Reviving the foreign influence narrative, accusations of Indian interference have historically been used in Bangladesh to mobilize street sentiment and polarize voters. Repositioning Islamist relevance. With the Awami League politically sidelined, Islamist-leaning actors are seeking to reinsert themselves into the national conversation by framing themselves as guardians of sovereignty and ideology. In this context, Shahryar Kabir's remarks appear less spontaneous and more strategically timed. Tarique Rahman's return, symbolism and strategic shift. Tarique Rahman's return to Bangladesh after 17 years indeed marks one of the most consequential political developments in the recent year, because we need to know the carefully crafted message. In his first address after landing in Dhaka, Rahman avoided overtly confrontational rhetoric. Instead, he spoke of national unity and inclusive citizenship, referred to harmony among religious and ethnic communities to be noted, emphasized democratic restoration and political stability. Notably, he refrained from strong anti-India language traditionally associated with segments of BNP politics, suggesting a strategic recalibration rather than ideological surrender. Now, why this matters? This moderation appears designed to appeal to centrist and undecided voters, reassure international stakeholders, distance himself from extremist or destabilizing narratives. It is precisely this recalibration that has unsettled hardline Islamist elements. And if you look at the post-Hasina Bangladesh, a political vacuum and competing narratives could be witnessed. The current turbulence cannot be separated from the broader transformation of Bangladesh's political landscape. And the collapse of the old order following mass protest and political upheaval, Sheikh Hasina's long-standing rule came to an abrupt end. An interim administration now governs a country struggling with institutional uncertainty, public distrust, fragmented political authority. The Awami League's effective removal from electoral politics has left a vacuum, intensifying competition among remaining forces, and a charged social environment. Bangladesh is also witnessing rising street violence. Violence has become normal in Bangladesh. Growing insecurity among religious minorities, deep polarization across ideological lines. In such an environment, emotionally charged narratives about nationalism, religion, and foreign influence gain disproportionate power. And the India factor? A perpetual political fault line. India's role in Bangladesh's politics remains deeply sensitive. Domestic divisions, Islamist and ultra-nationalist factions often portray India as a threat to sovereignty. Pragmatic political actors see India as an unavoidable neighbor and strategic partner. Tarique Rahman's attempt to strike a balanced tone threatens hardliners who thrive on confrontation rather than stability. And India must be watching closely. Why? For New Delhi, Bangladesh's stability affects the border security, regional connectivity, minority safety, and Northeast India's strategic environment. Any escalation of anti-India rhetoric risks damaging bilateral cooperation at a time when regional volatility is already high. And if we strategically analyze what this storm really signals, this controversy reveals three deeper realities. Bangladesh's political debate is shifting. The old Awami League versus BNP binary has been replaced by a more fragmented struggle involving Islamist actors, interim authorities, and rebranding efforts by established parties. And Tarique Rahman, is he being tested early? His ability to withstand ideological attacks without sliding into polarizing rhetoric will determine whether he emerges as a credible national leader or becomes trapped in old political cycles. Extremist narratives are testing the boundaries. Provocations like Kabir's remarks serve as stress tests measuring how far inflammatory rhetoric can go without institutional pushback. And a pre-election warning signal could be felt. The attack on Tarique Rahman is not an isolated controversy. It is an early warning of the battles to come. As Bangladesh moves toward national elections, politics is likely to become increasingly charged with identity politics, sovereignty debates, foreign policy symbolism. Whether the country moves towards stability or slips back into confrontation will depend on how responsively major political actors respond to such provocations. At this moment, Bangladesh stands between political maturity and ideological relapse. The coming months will determine whether leadership rises above incendiary narratives or becomes consumed by them, with consequences not only for Bangladesh but for the wider South Asian region. For more updates and insights, keep watching The Global Eye.